It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome into Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 121 today. Really glad that you're with us. Come on in and let's enjoy this next hour together. Clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. The pool is ready to go, crystal clear water. The hot tub is fired up. The grill is going full bore. We have chicken, pork chop, steaks, even fish today. What a selection we have ready to go. Cold drinks off to the left, fruits and vegetables off to the right. Hot drinks inside, the hammock is outside the left door. Little putting green out behind the back. And don't forget our cigar bar in the back left corner of the pool area. Extra chairs, extra lotion, extra everything. Just come on in. Come on in and enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. No better feeling in the world when it comes to navigating day to day, minute to minute. Clothes on, what do I wear? What color? What style? What tightness? What looseness? No, all of that's eliminated. Clothes-free living is when you totally feel free. You know that. We know that. So we'll enjoy the next hour together living exactly that way. And don't forget, if you'd like to reach out to us, many ways to contact us. Email, nakedforevermore@gmail.com. We're on Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can hit us up there. Blue Sky, Patreon, our YouTube page, our Spotify page, our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com. We'd like to hear from you early and often, so feel free to reach out, and we will always write back. Well, on today's show, we will have part one of my interview with Linda WEBER. She is the current president for the American Association for Nude Recreation. There's a lot going on with AANR. Some changes need to be made. A lot of people believe, I believe, Linda WEBER believes. We'll start talking about that today. And then on next week's show, we will have part two of my interview with Linda WEBER. Also, Lisa Monroe coming up any moment now as she's making her way through the door, getting her headset ready. And I think we're about fired up and ready to go. I don't know about you, but I think I hear some music. Let's listen together. Oh, yes, there it is. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the terrific, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our Naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the completely over-the-top, one-of-a-kind, fully clothes-free and completely smiling, our Naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing terrific. How about you on this beautiful sunny morning?
I'm doing well, and got another email this past week. Don't get these too often. Used to get them a lot when we first started the show, but the question is either one of two things. Are you guys really naked in the studio? Or more often than not now I get, is Lisa really naked? Because you always say she's completely clothes-free. So I got one of those.
Uh-huh.
And the answer is, yes.
Yes. Oh, we practice what we preach, okay? Just remember that, people.
This is not a show on, baking or sewing or putting a new roof on your house. It's a show on naturism. We are clothes-free basically all of the time, in the studio, in the office, in our homes. You know, if we have to go to the store, at least sometimes you put clothes on when you go to the grocery store, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Most of the time, because I really don't think spending the night in jail is going to be a very smart thing. And these police don't have any sense of humor down here. I don't understand that.
No, we'll have to work on that.
Yes.
Maybe starting later this afternoon. You go to the grocery store. I'll walk in naked. I'll come and bail you out, and then I'll give the judge, a piece of my mind. How's that sound for a plan?
Sounds great. Sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. We have Linda WEBER coming on today, the president of the American Association for Nude Recreation. Looking forward to that. Part one today, part one on next Saturday. And we get into a lot of things. I know our listeners will enjoy it. And our Wednesday shows just keep trucking along. We did episode number 6 of that. This is 121 today. So it's 115 of these 1-hour shows and then 6 of the other. We're just moving and grooving, aren't we?
We certainly are, and I'm tired. No, no, not actually. I feel more energized doing this. It's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I wake up every morning, and I've always been this type anyway. This is not anything new. Can't wait to get out of bed and get rolling and whatever's going on. But I start my day with this show, whether it's editing or producing, reaching out to guests or whatever. It's like, oh, yeah, I got to get up to the office because, I need to do this right away or get to the studio because I have to do that. So it gets us out of bed, if nothing else. How about that?
It certainly does. It certainly does.
I wanted to remind everybody, Armando wrote, a month or two ago, basically looking for a support group. He was trying to start one for people who are in a relationship. You want to be naked 25/8, and your partner says clothing 25/8, or we're going to have problems. And he's struggling with that. And he reached out to us, and we put it on the show. If you have an interest in doing that, you send us that request. We'll pass it along to Armando. He'll be in touch with you. And I guess that's going pretty well. I've gotten some of the emails from them. I'm sure I'm not involved in all of the back and forth, but they are supporting each other and helping each other out, including one guy who used to be in that situation, but he changed partners. And now he's not in that situation anymore.
That's a way to solve that problem, I guess.
Yeah, we don't necessarily advocate for that.
No,
but
no.
Armando is willing to help you, as are these other people. So if you have an interest, let us know. We'll pass it along to Armando, and you'll be good to go. Now, we do, as everybody knows, we have a Patreon page around here. We gave up paid work to do this show for free, and not the brightest business move ever, although we did it on purpose. I'd rather, we should tell people we did it by accident. I think that would be better than you guys did this on purpose. What's wrong with you?
And I have a feeling there isn't some questions about that out there. I'm not real sure what that answer really is, but we did it.
That's right. The other. So we reach out to the listeners. We give you content that we've been doing it for over 2 years now, every Saturday for an hour. And now we've added Wednesday, so you're getting an hour 40, an hour 50, every single week, brand new content, plus something new every day in social media, whether it's a promo, a preview, a meme, whatever we're putting out there. But we ask you to contribute, and you can contribute in a very small way. You can contribute in a very large way. And we should tell people so they don't have to get dictionaries out. If they need to spell the word billion on a check, it's BILLION. Just trying to help people out.
You might want to buy a lotto ticket or something. It might be quicker. No, I'm teasing. Everyone's been extremely supportive. We're very appreciative of those people who have certainly heeded the call and come over to Patreon and joined us.
Yeah, very much so. And on each show, we try to feature 2 different people, or sometimes it's a couple, who have recently contributed. And Lisa, who do we have today?
Well, we have a couple, which is wonderful again to see. It's Bart and Sandy. Mm-hmm. And then the next one on the list is Tim. So Tim, welcome aboard. Bart and Sandy, welcome aboard.
Yeah, very much so. Bart and Sandy, thank you very much. And Tim, thank you very much as well. And we thank everybody who contributes to the show. We're putting it out there for you. And whatever you can give us in return, we appreciate that. Lisa, you're the merchandise guru around here. What's the latest and greatest? What's going on?
Well, it's just been a steady stream of orders for us, and I really appreciate it. And I think the thing about it is that at least people are getting things that they can enjoy because they enjoy the show, and that's the important thing. So coffee cups, still very popular. Beach towels, still very popular. And, and t-shirts are going and tote bags are going. So it's just it's really fun to see people engaging. And it's also funny to me because the second we put out the Clothes Free Living for All the Right Reasons logo, people start snapping that up quickly. So that was really nice to see it. The coffee mugs are especially nice looking, I think, for that logo. So those have been very popular.
Did we ever restock the stock room after Elvis and his friends were here last week?
The order has been placed, yes. Okay. And I'm putting a lock on the door the next time they come.
Never seen so. Well, we do have bare shelves. It is a Naturism show, so actually maybe that makes sense.
It does make sense, but I think a few items might, make it look a little bit more official, perhaps. But
that's true. Well, we have an email from, we should get like $100 every time we mention this guy's show. We have an email from Rick Dorsiak, and it's not intentional. We don't have a secret agreement with him. Like, hey, Rick, we'll mention you on every show. It's just he does so much out there. We find ourselves mentioning his name on every show.
He's vibrant and active, that's for certain.
Yeah, and this had to do with, remember Brian, we've been reading his notes. Brian visited Lake Como. Rick invited him to Lake Como and showed him around, bought him lunch. And I shared all that information with Rick, and he wrote the following email back, and I'll go ahead and start off. Thank you for sharing. I'm so glad to hear Brian had a positive experience and was able to celebrate life the way it was meant to be, au natural. He actually messaged me the next day to let me know he shared his experience with a friend, something he had never done before, and Brian told us that as well.
He did.
The best part, his friend responded with genuine interest and is now planning to dip his toe into the lifestyle. He'll be making his way to Lake Como soon for his first nudist experience. And why don't you take the next two paragraphs?
All right. I'll say it again. Your podcast has real reach. You're helping people who are curious about the lifestyle find honest, encouraging, and informative content. Thank you for the work you're doing. It truly makes a difference. In fact, Brian was the second first-time nudist I introduced to the lifestyle at Lake Como this week. I also met a female listener whose name we are not sharing, and who was visiting the area on a business trip. She's a home nudist who felt more comfortable trying public nudism away from her local community. Like Brian, she had a fantastic experience and now plans to continue exploring the lifestyle, not just at home, but at resorts and beaches as well.
Wow, that's very good. We're trying to get her on the show as well.
Oh, great.
We've not heard back. So he ends up saying, so again, thank you for all that you do. As always, it's a great day to get your clothes off and your nude on, ! And signed it, Rick. He's just doing amazing work. Whatever he touches turns to gold in the nudist naturist community. For these people to reach out to him, a lot of people who would say, I don't think so, I'm busy that weekend, or whatever. He just says, hey, come on down whenever you want, and I'll even treat you to lunch. Now, that doesn't mean he'll treat everybody in the world to lunch.
No.
Don't call him for lunch.
Yeah.
We'll empty his bank account before we know it. But he is a giving person who wants to lead everybody into naturism, and if you have an interest and you want to talk to him or email with him, you can certainly do so. So hats off, and I guess clothes off as well. Maybe we should say that more often. Clothes off to Rick Dorsiak. How about that?
Absolutely. Get your nude on, Rick.
That's right. Now, we also had an update from a gentleman who will remain nameless. He's requested to do so because he's in the middle of a divorce and has to do with nudism, and the soon-to-be ex-wife is using that against him to get custody of the child. Maybe they're already divorced. I don't know the ins and outs, but she's using his nudist preference as her ticket to get full custody, which is beyond belief unbelievable. But if you want to go ahead and read that first paragraph, go ahead.
I have been struggling personally in the lightning rod of children in nudism. I can't even talk to my partner about this, let alone the lawyer. Her concerns lie in the consent aspect. How can a child consent to be naked around others? My lawyer's concern seems to be that she believes that the average person finds children to be sexual objects and a naked child is inherently.
Oh, man.
I can't even say it.
Yeah.
That view makes me sick to my stomach. My view is that a naked body is absolutely not sexual unless you project your own thoughts onto it. I can be naked with my partner all day and not be aroused, but when she gets that look in her eye, it's a whole different story. Mm-hmm. I believe there is an essential pillar of the philosophy behind nudism and naturism. If you don't believe that to be true, then the whole thing comes down.
His own attorney is of the belief that children are inherently, I'm guessing, sexual objects. What the heck? Where did that come from? That is beyond sick and disgusting. Nothing against this attorney. I don't know her. But I would like to take everybody in that particular camp and just put them somewhere where they're never seen again.
I'd be finding a new attorney if I were in that situation. But I have to say that, I don't think anyone, there wouldn't be child pornography laws. There wouldn't be all of these things happening if that was the actual belief that they are sexual objects. And this is just not, we try so hard to normalize this situation of what we enjoy. And then what do we get? We get people like this who have the power and the ability to be our voice in a courtroom, and yet they have this insanely perverted idea about what children should be or what they are. And inherently, no, thank you.
That makes no sense. The second paragraph, one might argue that only adult bodies are inherently sexual, but the human body matures far faster than when we assign the adult label. This is probably the majority opinion, which really sucks because there are millions of bodies who have matured into an adult body and yet are still not mentally adults, which implies there are grown adults who find a teenage body to be attractive to them. And those people who do, well, they're the ones who sometimes can't resist their urges. They are the ones to be concerned about, and not me. Oh, we could go on forever about this. Yeah. We don't talk about this very often because it's so disturbing. And we're not a Bible show. We've had some biblical people on before who have written about naturism from a biblical standpoint. But there is a passage in there, and whether you believe in the Bible or read the Bible or not, it's worth putting out there. Matthew 18:6, if anybody wants to look it up, Jesus is talking. Anyone who causes these little ones to stumble, it would be better to have a millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea, as opposed to facing what you're going to face when you deal with God face to face. Of course, a millstone is a very heavy rock. Tie a heavy rock around your neck, drop you in the middle of the ocean. You'll be a whole lot better off than if I have to deal with you, he's basically saying. And I agree with that. And maybe we'll take some time to delve into this down the road, but I've seen kids in naturism. I was a kid in naturism at one point and never had an issue, never saw an issue. It doesn't mean issues don't occur anywhere in life. A grocery store, walking down the street, we know things occur that are far beyond what most people know about, but that doesn't mean it's automatically going to be bad. Kid at a naturist resort? Oh no, things are going to go south. No, in fact, at a naturist resort or a nude beach, I've noticed kids are even better protected than they are in clothing situations. How about you?
I agree, and I've never seen any child on a beach or in a resort who has been fearful of any adult that's around them, or seeing the adults fearful of anyone else who's around them. And of course, the parents are watching their children, as any parent would in any situation. But the fact is that, if you believe in naturism, this is so inherently unlike what we believe that it's just frightening. And, the fact is that there are bad people in this world, and it doesn't matter what their perversion is, there's going to be something out there for them. And we should be concerned about the people who are causing this, not the people we think are attracting it. And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's set some time aside down the road for that. For now, we need to get to part one of my interview with Linda Weber. And Lisa Monroe, with that, we'll head for the hills. You'll be here at the end of the show, though, correct?
I certainly will, and I'm really looking forward to hearing Linda.
All right, that sounds good. Go out there and have a terrific clothes-free 40 minutes, 35 minutes or so, and we'll see you at the end of the show.
Very good. I'm refilling coffee as we speak.
Sounds good. The very terrific Lisa Monroe does a whole bunch around here. All of the merchandise, all of the memes, helps with Patreon, helps with just about everything around here. And even, although today is an exception, even occasionally, and maybe fairly often, brings in baked goods. You have not lived until you have partaken of Lisa Monroe's baked goods, fresh from her kitchen. Just a terrific cook and chef, and we appreciate Lisa Monroe very much. As a reminder, we are the official podcast for the American Association for Nude Recreation. Are you a member? If so, great. But if not, you can become a member today. Just go to AANR.com, follow all of the navigation toward membership, and within moments, just like Lisa Monroe is and just like I am, you will be a member of the American Association for Nude Recreation. How about that? Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 121 today. And now let's get to part one of my interview with the president for the American Association for Nude Recreation, the terrific Linda Weber. We are headed out to California today to catch up with the president of the American Association for Nude Recreation. She recently finished her first year. It's a 2-year term, as everybody knows. She's finished year one, embarking on year two. So let's find out what's been going on at AANR, what's going to go on. by bringing in the president for the American Association for Nude Recreation, Linda Weber. Good morning, Linda. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Frank. Thank you.
Good to see you again. You're smiling. You don't look any more stressed than you looked a year ago. So something is treating you well, life itself or the job, or what's going on?
Well, I have such a love for the job and love for AANR and the members that even though it's a lot of work, and I knew it would be, it's a kind of work that I wanted to focus after my advocacy. So I just dived into the deep end and went for it.
I've said this on the show before. Every time I took a new job in a leadership position, I do all the investigations, the background checks, and on day one, I was ready to hit the ground running. And within the first week or two, something would come across my desk that I had never anticipated or expected, and maybe neither did anybody else within the organization. Has anything like that happened to you? Like, whoa, where did this come from? Nobody ever said this.
Well, there's more of a high level that I wasn't exposed to, so to speak. So, things like the bureaucracy of it all, how long it takes to get things done, the region's portion, what they are responsible for, and then the clubs too. And then we have the member component. So there's all of these things now that I have to take into consideration that I did not have to as a director. So it's more well-rounded now.
Yeah, that is what I noticed as well. When I was in lower positions, like, well, if I ever get in the big chair, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you get there and you realize you can't do this or that for one reason or another. And maybe you can make some changes, maybe you can't. But we all discover that when we get in the big chair, don't we?
True. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, every time I fire up social media, which is every day, multiple times, we keep that kind of on a 25/8 system here. I see you've posted or reposted yet again. You've been here, you've been there, meetings all over the place. Sometimes you fly around, other times you can do it by Zoom. But recently, you and Eric, the executive director for AANR, and I think Max, flew to Boston for the National Conference of State Legislatures. And you had told me off air, put in a note, this is the 32nd year AANR has gone. What is the benefit of that? Most of our members, I'm guessing, don't know. So what can be had when you go to Boston for this particular conference, and what did you and AANR gain from going this year?
Well, I had always heard about ANR attending this, and I never really knew what went on. But this was the 50th year, and so we had more attendance. We had like over 4,500 people attending. So I thought it was great because there was all these people, but I guess it's been a little bit lower attendance in the past. But what it does is it gives us access to some of the state legislators, attorneys, legislative aides that make the rules and the laws that sometimes affect us. So we actually are able to get in front of them and say, this is how it affects us. If you were to write it in a different way, then it wouldn't catch us in the net. And we gave a few examples about how we've had to work with them to change the wording so that it wouldn't catch. And I always say they catch a bit, cast a big net to catch a goldfish. And sometimes we, get caught up in that. And especially this year, it's been really contentious with minors, alcohol, and nudity. So, when people get on those platforms, we have to kind of refocus and reframe how we would like it to go because we know what their intention is. And so if they word it differently, and that's what we've worked on a lot with the government affairs team, but getting in front of the legislators was amazing. I was able to talk to, I think I figured I talked to like 50 people personally, and then we had other people at the table that were talking to other people. So it's wonderful.
Do you get a chance to make a presentation, or is it just whoever you can grab in the hall or as they stop by your table?
Well, yeah, it's just all booths, and most of the conferences that they have, the legislators will go off and then they'll come back, and then they go around the room like I did. I talked to TikTok. I talked to a lot of the social media platforms. I said, hey, this is what we're about. Here's my card. I'm going to be following up with you because of censorship and things that happen to us, and it kind of truncates us getting our message out. So we're wholesome, family friendly, non-sexual nudity. And what was great is I took Max with me, who is Eric's the executive director, his son, who grew up in nudity, him and his family. So when we were talking to, the social media, here I am, this old person, and then I've got a younger person, so it's like, "Here, you can hear what he has to say," and it was great because when we would be at the table, they'd say, "Well, I don't know, about nudity and kids." I'd say, "Max is here, he was raised in it, he's our executive director's son," and all of a sudden, Max would just, be able to tell his story. So it was so powerful that he was right there and was saying, "Hey, this is what I was raised at. I don't know anything different." And so we also had BG Parks, who is the owner of Swanee Valley Resort in Florida, and then Kathy Watzel, who's a former president, but she also designs pins. We're well known for our pins because they're always tailored around where we're going to be. And so this year, because it was in Boston, there's four little heads peeking out of a teacup for the Boston Tea Party. So people will come by, and what's great is, they'll come for the pins, and that's the hook to get them to the table, and then you can talk to them because if you notice, I noticed on the other booths, people would just walk by. They weren't really interested in what they had. But for us, they kept, we've got a little pushback from AANR, some of the regions, "Well, why would you spend that kind of money to go there just to give pins away?" And having been there now to see when they reach over the table or we give them a pin, that is our time to talk to them because most people don't just get a pin and leave.
Right.
And so we passed out, I think, about 1,500 pins. So we had such a great audience to be able to just grab them and talk to them. And we changed a lot of minds. There was people that said, "Oh, I never thought about that," or I didn't look at it this way. So I was very impressed because I wanted to see what it was like. Was it really worth the money? And absolutely, yes.
I remember when I was in college going for an advanced degree in administration, leadership, all that good stuff. One of the professors who was in the field, he was already a CEO somewhere, and he was teaching one class a week. He said, "So do you like politics?" And I'm thinking, at the time, it was 150 years ago, "No, I don't. I don't like to be in the political situation." And pretty much everybody in the class said that. He goes, "Well, you better learn how to enjoy it, because when you get to the CEO chair, it's all politics." And you're finding that out too. Anybody who disputes the cost of going to Boston, I don't know what the cost is. We don't have to put that out here. But you're hanging with the politicians from all of the states who actually make up the laws on nudism, right?
Absolutely. So that's why I was like, wow, this is such a great opportunity. And then we had media people there, state senators that would stop by. So yeah, there's this whole, subculture of having to deal with politics. And because we end up having laws or things like that written about us, we have to be in the arena. We are nonpartisan, but there are times that we have to stand up for ourselves. So we
Yeah.
need to know who the players are. And what's great is I've taken the names down of the people I've talked to so that if we have an issue in that state, I can try to contact that person and say, "We had a conversation. This is what we're looking for. What do you think we can do, together to, work this out to our benefit to take us out of this law that you're going to put in, that might affect us."
Yeah, and that's one of the most crucial pieces that unless you've done it, you don't know it. Obviously, you've done it for a long time, more so now. You can call one of these legislators and say, "Yeah, I'm the lady who was at the AANR booth, and whatever you were wearing on a particular day," because I'm guessing you were not nude at this particular conference. So you can say, "I was wearing, whatever, the blue and the red." "Oh, yeah, I remember you." All of a sudden, there's a connection there. You already made the connection, but they remember the connection, and then you have an in, as opposed to, "I'm Linda Weber. You don't know me. You've probably never heard of me, but I'd like to talk to you about these laws." And they'll just say, "Yeah, I got to go. My assistant's calling me. I got to take another call." So the fact that you went and Eric went and Max went and made all of these connections, now you can use them as you need to when laws come up that affect us, right?
That's the purpose, and that is
Yeah.
so powerful it's a game changer because it's not a cold call, like you said. It's a relationship. We've met, we talked, and so we already have that in, and that's what we need. We need that connection, and, if you've ever seen some of like The West Wing and different, TVs and movies about how politics are, it's all about relationships and who you know and things like that, and so if you can get in front of these people and change their minds, when they go to make that law, they're going to think about that and maybe reword it, and then we don't even have to be involved. So there's value in this.
Yeah. Now, what I've noticed, and this has become, I don't want to say a continuous theme on our show, but certainly it comes up often, is people in society still equate nudity with, oh boy, there's going to be all kinds of sexual activity now because they have their clothes off at this club or at the beach. You and I and everybody in AANR knows that is 100% incorrect and false. How in the world do we change the narrative with the people who can make laws that can make or break us as far as enjoying naturism?
Well, this is one of the ways of getting in front of them is to say, this is what we are, this is what we aren't. By having Max there, we have a younger voice there to say, this is I grew up in it. So we've got, an example of obviously a normal kid, and he's, been raised in it, has a better idea of body positivity, and he really has a great story. And so it's fun to hear him talk about it. So by giving these examples and being there, of course, we had to, be dressed, but because we are, we do
Yeah.
live in a textile world, so we are
Yeah.
appropriate. But of course, we always get the where do you put your pins? And I said, our hats. We wear hats,
Yeah.
because I'm always people always like to bring that up. But
Of course.
yeah,
The part that cracks me up is when somebody brings that up, they think they're the first person who ever thought of that joke. It's like, I said 50 billionth time I heard it just this morning. So,
yeah, we still laugh because
oh,
they
yeah.
don't know, and it's
Right.
just they're trying
Right.
to just it's like an icebreaker. So we understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like, where does a nudist, have their phone? Well, okay. And we can have those jokes all day long at a meeting with non-nudists, non-naturists. But the bottom line is, as we call it, enjoying clothes for a living for all of the right reasons. The joys of that are, I can't even find the words to accurately describe it. I think people just have to experience it. And how many times have we gotten emails on this end? People try it. They go to the nude beach. They go to a resort, and they come. While they're there, they say, "Why didn't I try this 30 years ago, or 10, or 100, whatever?" Because once you do it, you get it, and it's not sexual at all. Correct?
oh, we brought that up and said, because they said, "Oh, I don't think I could do that." And I said, "Well, unless you take, a shower with your clothes on, you're nude at some point." And so I said, for me, I started sleeping nude when I was younger. And I said, there's just simple ways. If you have a pool or you have a private spa, just slip in there and feel how it feels without that, bathing suit. Or when you're out of the shower, you drinking your coffee, just spend a little more time, being nude. Or I say for the women, just think of the less laundry that you'll have.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything I can kind of bring up. So
We posted a meme on every Monday on, we still call it Twitter and Blue Sky. We have a Monday morning meme designed to be humorous. And this week it was a T-shirt, a lady wearing a T-shirt, and it said "Laundry today or naked tomorrow." Basically, that's the dilemma she was facing. And I wrote in there, "Well, we've made our decision. What's your decision?" Like, that's what it comes down to. You can do a whole lot less laundry, which means less soap, less expense, and you just start enjoying life.
that actually worked for us, I think, last year at the conference because there were people that were going around that were more concerned about the environment and what people's relationship was. And we were able to say, as nudists, we don't do a lot of wash, it's towels and maybe sarongs. And I said, so we're a little more connected to that. And I'm really connected. I mean, I recycle cans. And I give the proceeds to our local pet place.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't wear a lot of clothes. When I travel, I get to pack, and I've got my little tiny, carry-on case because I don't have to bring a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't buy new things. I'm usually, haunting the thrift store so I could, give something another use. Once again. So I brought that up, which was very enlightening this time. We were able to do it last time, and people said, "This is great. We're glad to see that you're stewards of the earth, so to speak." And I brought that up this time too, that I barely have any wash, and it's mostly towels. And so when you live this life, there's, this philosophy, there's a lot of things just not just being nude. It cascades around.
Yeah, I've noticed. Obviously, a nudist resort would be in tune with this, but even a nude beach, they are almost always, in fact, I think always, in my view, always cleaner at the end of the day because people pick up after themselves. You go to a textile beach, it might be fine, it might not be. You'll see paper towel rolling down the beach or a can of whatever. Nude beach, I've never seen anything left behind. That's a rarity if it occurs at all, right?
That's so true
Yeah.
because I always try to talk to the rangers when I go to my local unofficial nude beach and just say, hi, I'm here. They know me now. And so they know that I always carry a paper bag. And if I see something, and I have to walk, quite a distance down, probably like a half a mile. So I'm passing all the textiles. But when you get to our beach, it's all nice and clean.
Yeah.
But we always have a beach cleanup that's coordinated with our It's Clean California, which I'm already a part of. I've been a part of it for 35 years, cleaning monthly a portion of the highway. And so when this comes up, I'm already part of that. But when we clean the beach, we clean the textile portion and the nude part, and we have to actually write down everything. There's a category for everything. Is it cigarette butt? Is it plastic? Is it a candy wrapper? Because California wants to know where the trash is coming from. But for the nude beach, we usually don't really send people over there because it's pretty clean. It's the textile portion that we clean up and we get our numbers on. So
Yeah, always good PR for the cause. So this National Conference of State Legislatures that happens once a year, and it's in a different city each year. Is that correct?
yes, I believe it's going to be in Chicago for 2026.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm glad you went. I'm glad Eric went, Max went on behalf of AANR to represent everybody, but also to make that contact with the right people that you might need someday. And in some cases, definitely will need someday as the law comes across their desk, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Another thing that you've been doing a lot is attending meetings slash conventions all over the country. We have 7 regions, and you live in California. The main office is in Florida. Well, that's a lot of travel right there, but also 7 regions spread throughout the country. And you've been to many of them. And I know you went to the AANR Southwest that was held at the Star Ranch in Texas. And which other ones did you go to? The Northwest and other ones?
Well, to back up just a little bit, you're right, we have 7 regions, and unfortunately, the way that they're structured is the regions need to complete their conventions before we actually have the national convention. And because of that, there was overlap. And so when I sat down to look at this, because I had intended to go to all 7, I found out that I couldn't because many of the regions overlap. And that's one of the failings that I think that we have is that the regions don't look to see what other regions are doing. So they're kind of in these silos. And so I was very disappointed. I was only able to go to 3, but I wanted to have representation. So I worked with my vice president, Patty Faber, and Eric Shutoff, the executive director. And I said, I would like to have leadership there. I really think it's important. And so I was able to do 3 of them. And then Eric took 2 and Patty took 2. And we were strategic too. Like I live in California, so I went to the one for the West at Glen Eden, and Eric lives in Florida. So of course he went to AANR Florida region. But it would be nice if we could get them all coordinated so that the president or some leadership can go every year to this. And so I was very disappointed, but I was able to get to ANR Southwest. It was at Star Ranch. It was my first time, and they were so welcoming, and they have a beautiful spread. And they have room to grow, which is really important. Some of the regions, they have these great clubs, but they're in the middle of like a city, and so they can't expand, or somebody won't let them buy the property or anything like that, and so they need to have that buffer. But it was great to hear that Star Ranch could really keep expanding because you always want to be fresh and have a lot of new things. So when people go, it's like, oh, this is something new. This is great. They're always investing the money back into the club. So that was great. They were very, very welcoming to my husband and I. And then I went to AANR Northwest at Canixu, and talk about green trees. I have never seen so many green trees stuffed in one area that it was, as you drive in, it's just green and beautiful. And I had never been to Canixu. and they were extremely welcoming. I was very excited to be there. And one of the things I liked is the fact that they really weren't in internet and Wi-Fi. So I could text because I had a plan that was a beta plan from Elon Musk that I could text off of satellite. So I'd have to say, I can't make a call, but I can text you. So that was kind of nice that I had, a couple of days where I couldn't be reached, where I could really focus on the club and I let people know it's not that I don't want to answer, it's just that I can't because of that. And it's not a failing. It's actually forces you to actually be there and be present because a lot of times I'm still hunched over the computer or taking calls. And so I was able to be present, and everybody was so nice. They'd say, "Oh, if you want to see the property, you can borrow my golf cart, come see my house. I've had this great cabin," and it was really nice. And just the green trees, and one of the things that they have, which is great, is because they abut like forest land. If they want to make some extra money, they can just have the Forest Service or something like that cut the trees, and then they make the money from it. So they have like a revenue source that really works. So it's like the club will always have this revenue source. So that's neat to see because a lot of the clubs don't have that, and they struggle to keep in business and things like that. So that was neat. I really thought that was kinda fun, and then I finished up before the national conference at, AANR West, which is the region I'm in, at Glen Eden, and that is always a great club to go to. So, it was kinda like coming home because I knew so many people that actually lived there that I didn't realize. So, I was able to get to 3 of the, regional
Okay.
conventions.
Yeah, I know what you meant. We are talking to Linda Weber this morning, the current president for the American Association for Nude Recreation. And Linda, before we go on, if people want to reach out to AANR, it's AANR.com. Is there a phone number you'd like to put out as well?
It's 1-800-TRY-NUDE.
Perfect. So people, if they have questions, basically we recommend they go to their region first. Is that correct? Or if they don't know the region, and go to the AANR office either by phone or text or email?
Well, what I like to do is get it as close to the decision makers as possible.
Mhm.
So if I get an email, unless it's about membership, then of course it'll go to the office. But if it has a question that the regional president or the trustee can answer, I get that to them because they're in the region for their members, and so I want that touch point to be there. But I answer all the emails. I answer all of them personally myself, whether I handle it, if I can handle it, and if not, I will say this is who I'm bringing in because this they can answer it better.
Wow, that's again, you never stop working. It's like 25/8, 8 days a week. You just keep on going, and we appreciate that very much. I wanted to ask you about a committee. We spoke about a year ago, right after you took the president's chair, and you had talked about, I'll probably have the name incorrect, Young Adult and Diversity Committee. Is that formed, and how is that going so far?
Yeah, we call it YDAC. It's the Young Adult Diversity Advisory Council
Gotcha.
because I wanted to make it a little more welcoming for younger people that are working. And committee sounds just so formal, and it is. And so for the advisory council, that is the only uh, committee, so to speak, that I will allow people to come in and out. Otherwise, if you're on a committee, you need to say, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be on there and commit to it. But here, I know that people work and sometimes they can't get to it. So having people coming in and out is great because we get that extra perspective that sometimes we don't get. And this was formed because we kept saying, we need to figure out how to get a hold of, young people. What do they want? But we never asked them. I mean, it was so simple. Why didn't we ever ask them? Because I don't know. I don't know
Right.
that answer. So it was a great opportunity to form something. And they're so uh, grateful that somebody is listening. And they've had some great ideas. One of the initiatives that's come out of it, and they've also worked with our PR department, is the hashtag My Nude Story. And what it is, about 2 or 3 minutes, just a quick video about either how you got into nudism, or how it makes you feel, or how has it affected your life. And so they said, younger people do videos. They're on TikTok. They're very visual. They love to see these little soundbite type things. And so I said, okay, well, let's do that. And when I looked at our numbers, we have about 9 videos that are up. I think we have almost 80,000 views across
Wow.
all of the videos. So the message is getting out there. We're closed because it is YouTube, so that we don't have any problems about being kicked off. And so it's a great way to get our message out. And obviously people are listening, they are viewing it.
Well, yeah, you said you're clothed, although you can be nude, but basically it's neck up is what you're looking at if people want to make a video.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
For, women or men. Now I had a sarong on just because I just didn't want, to get cut off before my message even got on. And that was one of the things we were while I was at NCSL talking to the different social media platforms is, we are, dressed appropriately when we need to on the platforms, but it's hard to advocate for wholesome nudity when we're constantly dressed and people
Right.
don't think it's valid.
Yeah.
And I said, if and I gave him my card, I told him my different accounts, and I said, if you would like to look at them, it's stuff even your grandmother wouldn't be, opposed to, because I said it's not a sexual posing or anything like that. It's just
Yeah.
out there educating. So,
Yeah, we've actually, and I hope you don't mind this. I probably should have asked permission, but I didn't. We've actually used your posting of your photos that you put out on social media as an example of how you should do it. We have people out there in the world who just, hey, look at me 5,000 times a day, doing all kinds of naked stuff. And after a while, like, are they really promoting naturism, or they just want to be seen naked? They want those likes and hearts and everything else. And the way you post, you're always doing something. Earlier this week, I think it was the day before Labor Day, you were at the beach, and of course, you were doing work for AANR, but you're sitting there under an umbrella in a chair doing work. That is real life. That is actually what you were doing. And I'm guessing your husband took that picture. But you didn't submit 5,000 pictures in different poses. You submitted one with you working as you prefer to work. And that's what I wish more people would get back to. So I hope you don't mind that we've used your photos, directed people to them, say, now here's how you do it. I hope that's okay.
oh, absolutely. I mean, once I went on social media, I was hoping people repost, because that's how you get your message out. But I always tell people, I always have a message. It's just not my picture, except for on Instagram. Your picture basically has to tell the story, and
Yeah.
so I don't post a lot because I just don't want it to be I'm just standing, doing. Being naked. I always have a message there.
Yeah, yeah, very well done. And I guess I would just make the case that if you want to post something nude on social media, post like Linda Weber posted. Don't post 5,000 a day. One a day is okay. Two, if you're really feeling rambunctious. Otherwise, let's just enjoy as we were meant to enjoy. Now, I wanted to get into a couple of things here, and I hope it's not too controversial, but some things have come up recently that I've noticed. And I want to start with the bylaws. We talked about this on a show recently. I don't know when the bylaws were developed. I'm not sure if you do. If so, I'll ask you when in just a moment. But I disagree with some of them. Now, people might say, well, who the heck does he think he is? Well, I was in the CEO chair and I dealt with bylaws. I've written bylaws for boards before. I have some experience in the area. One of the things that came out as I read through them is if you want to start something new, or get rid of a bylaw, add a bylaw, you have to study it. It goes on forever. And I think even Gary Musso on our show a few months ago said it's a 2-year process to get anything changed at all. Well, each person elected to AANR is a 2-year term. So if you start on the second day of your term, you're going to run out of time. Is there any way, well, first of all, when did the bylaws originally get passed? And is there any way to change that at all?
I believe, but I don't have them in front of them. It was in the 1980s
Okay.
when we actually had the bylaws. I want to say like 80, 82, 84. And so that's been a significant amount of time. I mean, our organization is 94 years old.
Yeah.
And so we've done some things right, but when you look through that, I agree, the bylaws, the bureaucracy of it all, you have to go through a process. And I understand that because you just don't want to be flippant and change, flip the script all the time. But the fact that it takes so long, one of the dynamics is because we have to get it in front of the members. The members actually vote on the bylaws. And unfortunately, and I've had this happen basically all the 6 years that I was a director. I mean, and I'd been a member, and then when I was a director, they would say, "Linda, I have no idea what this bylaw is about. We're changing it. How are you going to vote?" And so I would explain to them. So if I have to explain it to the members, it just goes to show you that perhaps, we just have too much in there that's preventing them. If the members can't understand what they're voting for, we're not doing them any favors. So it is a 2-year process, and right now we have, if somebody, and the members can even submit it. I mean, our documents are open. If they wanted to submit a change to the bylaw, it's due to our executive director by September 30th.
Okay.
And they could do that, but it is a lengthy process, and that's what my biggest fear is I will start something and be unable to carry it on, and it will slip through the cracks like a lot of stuff has. And this is important. The
Yeah.
changes that I want to make are important because it will help forward the organization rather than keep us kind of shackled as we are now.
Yeah. I had this one position at one time. It was actually a 3-year process. Now that's beyond ridiculous. Everything changes, in 3 years, the market, the people, everything. And so I actually told my boss that. I said, that's basically the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he laughed. He goes, "I agree with you." He goes, "I'm not the guy who put this in place, but we all have to live with it." I said, "But where I am," and I wasn't the lead guy, I was like a secondary guy. I said, "Where I am, we need this now. We can't wait 3 years." And so he said, "Why don't you put it up as a trial run, and you can do that for 2 years?" I said, "That's a great idea. We're going to start this tomorrow." And we did, and it worked, and people began to notice, wait, what's this guy doing all these trial runs for over there? And that's how we got business done. Is it possible to do that within AANR? Could you say, or Eric or anybody, well, I guess it would just be you because you're the president, can you say, by golly, this 2-year thing, we're going to run a trial here and make it far less. I won't put a timeline out there. Could you do that just as an experiment, or would that be greatly discouraged? Do you have to stick to the bylaws as written?
Right now, I think I would get the opposition because I don't have a vote. Because even though I'm the president, I have no vote. It's the 7 trustees, so they're very process oriented. So I would have that kind of opposition. But we are going to be putting things into motion because we can't stay static the way that it's just not working.
Right.
And so we do need to change the bylaws. And I would love to put a motion out there to get it so the process is more streamlined so that it doesn't take 2 years.
Yeah, I've seen the president of the United States, whoever that is, this goes back, billions of years, well, a little over 200, I guess. They have a tool called the executive order. If they don't like a particular law, they can just say, "You know what, I, as the president, I'm going to issue this executive order, and this will be the rule of the day until I'm out of office or until some court intervenes." Is that even possible? Is that within the rights of AANR to do that? I'm guessing not, but I thought I'd ask.
Unfortunately not. I have to explain it to a lot of people that I have no vote. It's our trustees. And that's something that I want to look at because it's the 7 trustees, and maybe that's something that we need to look at. Maybe we need to just reform our board and make it more interactive, and maybe that the president or vice president, we have something where we get to have a vote. But that's restructuring the organization. And right now, the change that I'm making, that I would like to make, or I've made recently, it's a pushback. People
Yeah.
think that the process working, it's not, and so I'm coming in and changing it. It's going to be a while, I think, before they ever allow us to completely reorganize.
Yeah, I was kind of afraid of that, but I thought I'd put it out there. There are other organizations that have ways to get around things if it works for the moment. Now, you don't want somebody going off willy-nilly on a power trip. But if, like I said, if I had something that I need now, I got to put this in place now. I can't wait 3 years. I had a tool to do that. The President of the United States, whoever that is, has the power to do that, at least up to a point. So it's not unheard of. There are other organizations that do that as well, including businesses like an IBM or General Motors, whatever. They have ways to get around things too. Now, they can't just do it in the back room. They have to tell their board, we're doing this effective tomorrow because we want to save the company, and they will bring it to you, the board, to study. But obviously, that's not the way AANR works, and that's okay. I just wanted to put it out there and see if that's a possibility. In terms of the bylaws, now you mentioned September 30th. If somebody out there, a member, has an idea, they should submit that idea to Eric, the executive director, by September 30th. Is that right?
Yeah, so they have to actually do the rewording of how they would want this bylaw to be changed. So they take the bylaw and they say, this is what our ultimate goal is, and this is the wording that we would like to have put up for a vote.
Okay. Now, to add to my sudden popularity during this interview, because I know I just ticked some people off. They're mad at me. They're not mad at you. I might as well just go for broke here. And I'll just take all the heat for it. You mentioned earlier you wanted to go to all 7 annual meetings for each of the 7 regions, but you couldn't because 2 or more were having their meetings at the same time, like the same day. That's one of those things that would drive me crazy, because wherever I've worked before, we always had a system in place and a calendar in place. If we have it on whatever, June 1st, you can't have it on June 1st. Any way to get that in order? And I want to get into the whole structure of the regions as they line up with the home office and with the presidency. But is there a way to at least minimally start with that without coming up with a new bylaw, or no?
Actually, they would have to go through their governance manual or their bylaws that they have through their region, because the regions are all set up as separate entities, which is a little odd in the business world, that they're set up as a separate entity and not an affiliate of AANR. So they have their own structure. So getting that changed would, they'd have to go through that process as well.
Okay. The very terrific Linda Weber, the current president for the American Association for Nude Recreation. And on next Saturday's show, which will be episode 123, part 2 of my interview with Linda Weber. And before we depart until next Wednesday's show, let's bring back in our Naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
It's good to be back. I've been away so long.
36 minutes. I'm afraid to ask what you did other than drinking coffee, or is that all that you've done?
What happens outside the studio stays outside of the studio, okay?
Terrific part 1 of my interview with Linda Weber. She's an amazing person. She's not, lack of a better term, not afraid of anything. She knows what's right and is willing to push for what's right, not for what she wants to do, but what AANR should do. And that's a big shift for a lot of people. Well, I want this, I want that. And as I used to tell people, well, I guess I still do here, but when I was a CEO, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's what's best for the organization. And that's the mentality she has as well. And moving things forward, and certainly hats off to her as well, right?
Very much so. And, I watched the entire meeting that was broadcast live on Zoom. And I have to say, there was no question in my mind that Linda was pushing for the best for AANR, and she stood her ground when she needed to and brought up some wonderful points along the way. And so it was a productive meeting. And as you heard from the first part of her speech, she's a busy person. And I did not realize how busy until I heard some of the things that she's been doing. And, it's a big job, and it takes someone strong enough to fill it.
Yeah, and she's doing a great job, and we appreciate her. We'll get to part 2 of my interview with Linda Weber on next Saturday's show. But in the meantime, you and I will get together again next Wednesday. And with that, let's head for the hills. And Lisa Monroe, stay clothes-free until I see you again next Wednesday. Can you do that?
I will do my best to be clothes-free and get my nude on as much as possible. Sometimes you gotta not do that, but I'll try.
All right. Sounds good. Go out there and have a great clothes-free few days. We'll see you on Wednesday.
You too, and everyone, you do the same. Get your nude on. We'll see you Wednesday.
Sounds good. Well, you've been listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 121 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.